1231 union was still legally theirs. Mu Feiren said, "That won't be necessary. I have something else to attend to, so I'm hanging up." "Hey, tell your mother." After getting cut off, Mother Mu was really furious. This Feiren was really hard to manage now. But when she went to play mahjong in the afternoon, she quickly went up to her friends and said, "I think that our Feiren is probably going to get married soon." Everyone knew about Mu Feiren's previous divorce and laughed at her for quite a while. Mu Feiren had always been the pride of the family, but the whole divorce saga made others laugh. What was the point of being famous? It seemed glamorous at the start, but she ended up with an unhappy marriage. Isn't marrying a good man the best thing that could happen to a woman? This was what many people thought. No matter how successful a woman was on her own, marrying a good man was a true success. Mother Mu thought the same. During her divorce, everyone said that Mu Feiren was a goner for life. She was a huge star and she would have plenty of suitors. Previously, she probably would still be able to find a rich guy and live a life in luxury. But now, since she was already married before with a child in tow, her value would definitely take a plunge. Marrying into a wealthy family was basically impossible now. Upon hearing Mother Mu say that she might be getting married, they immediately grew curious. "Marry? To who? She's getting married already. How come I've never heard about it before?" Yeah, there was nothing from the media too. Mother Mu raised her head proudly. He's not from the industry and he doesn't want to publicize it. He likes to keep a low profile, but he still fell in love with our Feiren, who is a huge star. Oh my, not from the industry. He must be some wealthy guy, then. Otherwise, he would be no match for Feiren. Ah, I can't say how loaded he is. He's just well off. Although she said that, her tone and expression already gave it all away. She was not trying to be humble at all. It was definitely a rich guy. Mother Mu said, "I knew it long ago. That Mo Ding well. They wanted to be together so I didn't say much, but I could see that there would be problems in the future. She's divorced now, which I'm fine with, too. I know my daughter. She's outstanding and no matter what, she would eventually get married. So I'll let her do what she wants." Everyone laughed in their hearts. They did not like seeing that proud look on her face, but they could not do anything either. At this moment. "Oh, speak of the devil. Look, isn't that Madame Mo, your in-law?" Then, she covered her mouth and laughed. "Oh, it's your ex-in-law." Sure enough, it was Mother Mo. Mother Mu originally brought Mother Mo along to mahjong games and the latter enjoyed it. But bumping into each other now, it would inevitably be awkward. But some people simply love to sow discord. Upon seeing that the two ladies met, they immediately said, "Hey, Madame Mo. Madame Mu was just talking about it. Did you know that Feiren is getting married again?" Mother Mo's eyes immediately shifted. She walked over with a smile as sharp as a knife. "Really? Feiren is getting married? Wow, I would never have thought." Mother Mu felt irritated as she looked at Mother Mo. Back then, she thought that in-laws should interact with one another a little. They did not like her, but she still tried to please them. Now that they were separated, nobody cared about her. "Oh, yes, what about Mo Ding? I heard that your family got into a little trouble the last time. You even went to Feiren for help but Feiren did not agree to it. Is everything okay now?" The nerve. Mother Mo scoffed, "It's just a small problem. We went to Feiren because they were married, after all. They should face problems together. But now that they're divorced, we have no say in anything. Who is she marrying? We are also happy for her that she can get married again. Back then, I worried a lot about that lass. We advised her during the divorce too. We told her that she'd be a divorcee with a child. She's in the entertainment circle and it would look bad on her. She might not be able to find a good man to marry." Mother Mu immediately stood up angrily. "What are you implying? Do you know what you're talking about? What's wrong with the entertainment circle?" Mother Mo chuckled. "What do you mean? Shouldn't you know better about your own child? Our child is doing fine. You're not in the position to care." Mother Mo said, "Very well. Tell me first, who is she marrying? I just have to know who is willing to marry her." She was implying that the guy was probably not good. Mother Mu was stumped. She didn't even know who the guy was. She said, well you'll have to wait for them to go public. I'm not giving away too much. Mother Mo scoffed. Or maybe you just aren't willing to say it. Given the way things are with your daughter, who do you think would want her? When is it your turn to talk about my daughter like that? Don't tell me that you still don't know. Mother Mo said, you must know about that child of your daughter's. Union. Mother Mu said, that is your granddaughter you're talking about. Are you disowning her now that they're divorced? Ha, funny, that child is not even Mo Ding's. Who knows how she got that bastard child? To try and make the Mo family raise a bastard child for her. It's too bad that Mo Ding is not a fool. Ever since they were together, he knew that she was not someone to play with, so he has never touched her once. What? This was huge news. Not just to Mother Mu, but to all the mahjong players here. They immediately broke into chatter. Not the Mo families. Then whose is it? No way, Mu Feiren doesn't look like that type of person. The entertainment circle is really messy. No wonder they divorced. Mother Mu's face turned purple. Impossible, impossible. Mother Mo grunted. Are you sure that Mu Feiren is getting married and that someone is willing to marry her? I don't believe it. I think you'd better go find out for yourself and leave the game to the rest. After Mother Mo was done, she looked at Mother Mu with great triumph, turned around, and walked away. When she left, she felt puzzled. Mu Feiren was getting married. Seriously. She was really getting married. How could she get married? However, she could not tell if Mother Mu was just exaggerating. She had never heard about this before. In that case, Mu Feiren's assets would all belong to the other party. Thinking about it made her unhappy. The money and house clearly belonged in part to their son. Was it all going to someone else just like that now? Back home, she still felt unhappy. At the same time, she suddenly remembered that child. Union. Legally, Union was still Mo Ding's child because his name was written on her birth certificate. 12:32 dawn, tu mind I. The kindergarten that Lin Che and the others had opened together was very well known in B City at the moment. Because the teachers were very well qualified, the level of education was particularly good. Some children immediately became much more fluent in English after attending for a few months. The children learned many words that even their parents did not know. Because there were many foreign teachers in the kindergarten, the teachers and the children only used English to converse in the kindergarten. The environment was such that the children, who had very strong learning capabilities at their age, were learning in an environment similar to that in which they had learned their mother tongue. Thus, they definitely learned very quickly. Apart from this, the children were all very energetic and cheerful after going home. They also had their own views and were especially sensible. On top of that, they were not rigid at all. Seeing the changes in their children, word spread continuously among parents and this place became famous. Mo Ding's mother arrived outside the school. She had heard that Union was attending lessons here now. At the time, she had even thought to herself, Mu Feiren sure was willing to spend money on her child. She had heard that the fees here were very expensive and that it was especially difficult to get enrolled. She had probably spent a lot of money to get Union enrolled here. She was looking in from outside when someone at the entrance immediately came up to her and asked, "Who are you? You're not allowed to come in here." The security guards at the entrance all looked so formidable. This kindergarten was run in such a proper manner. Seeing this, Mo Ding's mother said, "Oh, I'm here to see my granddaughter." At a time like this, she was now saying that Union was her granddaughter. "What's your granddaughter's name?" "Mu Zian." Hearing this, everyone could not believe that her granddaughter was Union. Lin Che had specially briefed them, and everyone knew that this was the child of Black Hawk's girlfriend. He brought her with him all the time and doted on her as if she was his biological daughter. They immediately became much more attentive and alert. "Are you her grandmother?" That's right. That's right. You guys can check. Look, this is my identity card. Her current name records all bear our family name." Of course, they had their ways of checking. They took her identity card and ran a check, only to see that it was actually true. She said, "My son and my daughter-in-law have divorced. I haven't seen her for a long time. Please let me see her." They said, "We can let you do that. But you can only meet her inside." Yes, yes, yes. Of course, I know that I can't take her away. Where should I go to see her? They brought Mo Ding's mother to a reception room. Shortly afterward, Union was brought in as well. Mo Ding's mother immediately said, Union. My granddaughter. Union blinked and looked at her. Mo Ding had barely seen Union a few times. Right now, she was extremely enthusiastic. She kept telling Union that she had not come to see her all because her mother refused to let them meet her. Then, she continuously shoved money and food to Union. When such an incident occurred, of course, the kindergarten immediately notified the parents. After hearing about this, Mu Feiren immediately rushed over. She saw Mo Ding's mother upon her arrival. At once, she walked over and hugged Union towards her quickly. Then, she looked at Mo Ding's mother. Why are you here? Mo Ding's mother straightened herself and looked at Mu Feiren. It had been some time since they had met. Her complexion actually looked much better now. She no longer looked so weak as well. It seemed that she was really living quite blissfully and was going to get married. Mo Ding's mother asked, I heard that you're getting married. Mu Feiren was absolutely baffled. Why was she going to get married? But she did not owe her an explanation either. I don't think it has anything to do with you. What I'm asking is, what are you doing here? Why are you looking for Union? Mo Ding's mother said directly, have you forgotten that Union is still my granddaughter? Your granddaughter? Don't you know that she isn't related to the Mo family? Ha, she's not related to us just because you say so. According to the documents, she's still Mo Ding's child. You're about to marry someone else with her in tow, and you didn't even inform us. I'm telling you, we're going to sue you in court now. We want custody of Union. Mu Feiren looked at Mo Ding's mother in astonishment. Have you gone mad? On what basis are you claiming custody of Union? What right do you have? What right? In name, she's the granddaughter of our family. You're going to marry someone else with her in tow. We're worried. We insist on getting custody of her. What can you do about it? My apologies. You won't be able to get it. Union has always been in my care. Furthermore, she doesn't carry the blood of the Mo family at all. You know this too. Of course I know that. But don't forget one thing. You can't say that she isn't a child of the Mo family. I heard that you're going to marry someone. Won't you be embarrassed to tell him that she's an illegitimate child you had after your marriage? Hee. What do you think he will say to you after hearing about this? Will he still marry you? Mu Feiren said, she's not a child of your family. What are you guys up to now? Why don't you just get straight to the point? Mo Ding's mother said, very well. I want half of your assets. Hee. So it was because of this. I won't give you any money. We've already divided our assets. Don't even think about it. Feiren, think about this carefully. You're about to marry a wealthy businessman soon. Why do you need so much money? In the future, you'll only have more money. But that's also on the condition that you marry him first. Will you still be able to marry him if he finds out about the severity of your past infidelity now? Why don't you think properly about which is the better deal? There's no need for me to think. You can forget about it too. There's no way you'll be able to take advantage of me. You can leave now. You fine. Mu Feiren, you said it. Just you wait. We'll see you in court. Fine, do whatever you want. Mu Feiren did not know why they thought she was going to get married. She and Black Hawk still had a long way to go. After leaving, she immediately informed the kindergarten not to let this person meet Union if she came again in the future. After Mo Ding's mother left, she thought to herself skeptically. Seriously, she simply did not believe that there was no other way. Even if the Mo family could not get any money, they definitely would not make it easy for Mu Feiren to marry. With that thought in mind, Mo Ding's mother immediately instructed people to find out who Mu Feiren was getting married to. As for Mu Feiren, she arrived home in no time. Black Hawk had heard about this incident but he did not know the specific details. He only knew that Mo Ding's mother had gone to the kindergarten. He asked, why were they there? Mu Feiren looked down without saying a word. Black Hawk said, come, tell me what happened. I will only be able to help you protect Union then, right? Mu Feiren looked up. It's just that until now, we don't know who Union's father is. I don't know how exactly I got pregnant with Union either. I don't even know who was the one who ruined my chastity. I feel as if I'm very dirty. Silly girl, how can you say that? Black Hawk frowned. I won't allow you to say that about yourself. Mu Farron looked up. Don't you think I'm dirty? Black Hawk said, how are you dirty? You're the purest and chastest woman I've ever met. He scooped her hand up and placed it on his chest. Mu Farron's heart twitched. She looked down while blushing. It really doesn't bother you. Why should I care? Black Hawk was really too good to her. He was so good that she felt as if she was truly not good enough for him. Chapter 1233 Because I love that woman. Mu Farron said, sometimes, I feel that you're a really strange person. Black Hawk looked at her. How am I strange? Other people would definitely mind. But you don't care about anything. Black Hawk said, they care about too many things, so instead, they can't get the best. Black Hawk held her hand. They don't know what happiness looks like. But I know. Mu Farron's heart warmed. He said, they think that a perfect woman is one who is complete and whole. One who is virtuous, respects the old and young, brings the children up, and is also obedient. But I don't think so. Mu Farron looked down and asked, then, what do you think a perfect woman is? Black Hawk said, I think a woman like you is perfect. Mu Farron's heart was completely intoxicated. How could this man say such pleasant words? When he saw Mu Farron blush, Black Hawk also started laughing. Mu Farron said, you only know how to tease me. Black Hawk said, I meant what I said. Mu Farron responded, why would you think that a woman like me is perfect? I'm clearly not perfect. Black Hawk said, if I like someone, even her flaws become merits. Her merits are also merits. Mu Farron said, you who taught you this? You have such a smooth tongue. Black Hawk said, since I like you, I want you to be happy. Since I want you to be happy, of course, the things I say must sound pleasant. Mu Farron blushed once again. She had bowed her head so low that it could not go any lower. Was this a confession? If no one had taught him to say these things, then he really had the gift of the gab. He held her hand gently and pulled her softly into his embrace with one arm. With their bodies pressed close, he gently stroked her back. His fingers were pressed lightly on her skin as they slowly came closer. However, just then, he suddenly retracted his hands and gripped them surreptitiously. Mu Farron had sensed that he seemed to have shut his eyes before letting go of her. She looked up and gazed at Black Hawk. Black Hawk said coolly, I can't do this now. He could not do what? Mu Farron felt even more embarrassed. Black Hawk looked at her. I must wait for an appropriate time when I can truly have you. I can't do this now. Of course, Mu Farron was still too embarrassed to say anything. She could only feel her face still burning. Black Hawk said, I just want you to know that I'm serious about you. I'm absolutely serious, so I won't touch you now. Perhaps I've had women and I've done bad things in the past. But I hope that the relationship between us can be the purest form of affection, without any lust involved. So, I won't touch you now. Mu Farron's heart was still pounding as she listened to him. Black Hawk said, so Farron, I'll endure it for now and wait for the appropriate juncture. For such a long time, she had genuinely wondered why he had never gone any further with her. Was he averse to her? Was it because he still felt that she was unchaste? But now, his explanation made her feel as if her heart had suddenly been filled. He said, on that day, I will turn you into the happiest woman. She had never heard such romantic words before in her lifetime. When she had been with Mo Ding back then, their relationship was more of a pragmatic one. It had not been romantic at all. At the time, she had naively thought that he did not know how to be romantic and that a relationship in which the two of them were working hard together was more romantic and better than the romance of other people. However, now that she thought about it, it was impossible that a person did not know how to be romantic. It was merely that he never wanted to be romantic. If you genuinely liked someone, any change was possible. The next day, Mu Farron actually received a notice from the court Sassoon. The notice stated that the Mo family had really sued her for the custody of her child. Mu Farron genuinely found it ridiculous and immediately tossed the summons aside. Meanwhile, Mo Ding's mother asked, is that man really Black Hawk? Mo Ding said, perhaps he is. Anyway, he doesn't care, right? Even if you tell him that the child was born out of wedlock, and Black Hawk says he'll take the child as his own, what else can you do? Mo Ding's mother said, no way. I will definitely think of a way to make him abandon her. Then he will know what the final outcome will be with a woman like her. Mother, I think you shouldn't make things difficult for yourself. Mo Ding's mother said, I simply can't take this lying down. Mo Ding also found it strange. Why was she getting married? Wasn't Black Hawk just playing around? Was he actually going to marry Mu Feiren? Mo Ding's mother said, I found out that he's been hanging around Golden Splendor. He goes there nearly every day. That place was a high-class club. It was one of the businesses which Black Hawk operated. But Black Hawk preferred that place because he could gather with his friends there. I will let everyone there know what kind of woman Black Hawk is together with. Humph. Meanwhile, after Gu Jingze awoke, he still felt that he was completely weak. There was no domestic news showing and he could not connect to the local network. The internet was being monitored very strictly. Gu Jingze gave up after trying. However, he saw An Lan walk in at this moment and say, you're up. Quick, have something to eat. Gu Jingze said, thank you, Miss An. But I really have to go home. An Lan asked, how can I let you go home? She looked at him and reached out, wanting to grab him. However, Gu Jingze immediately evaded her. He looked at An Lan. Miss An, there's one thing you must bear in mind. I'm a married man. So what? An Lan continued, aren't you here with me right now? There's only us here. There's no one else. Gu Jingze said, it's enough that you and I both know. Miss An, I won't do anything to betray my wife. It's better for you not to waste time on me. Gu Jingyu is a good match for you. You can give it a shot. He's not a bad person by nature. That day, he was merely putting up a front. Yes, I know, she continued, I guessed it. He probably doesn't like me. But to be honest, I don't really want to find a random man from the Gu family and marry him. The person I want is you. Gu Jingze frowned. An Lan said, the moment I saw you, I already felt that you're the man I want the most. An Lan said, as long as you're willing, we can be together. Look, the Gu family also hopes that I'll get together with someone from the Gu family. As for Lin Che, she's so unpopular in the Gu family, right? Gu Jingze said bluntly, you've got one thing wrong. I can't be with you because I love my wife and not you. Do you understand? It has nothing to do with my family, or relations, or responsibility. What? An Lan felt a wave of anger. He even said that he loved that woman. Did he really love her that much? Why? Because Lin Che was beautiful. Why? Gu Jingze looked at her. There's no reason. She's a perfect woman. I'm not the only one who loves her. But I will love her with my all. Such moving words of love from the mouth of a man as perfect as him. But they were directed at another woman. 1234 Gu Jingze was so amazing. An Lan looked at Gu Jingze indignantly. How am I worse than Lin Che? Tell me, in what way am I not as good as her? Gu Jingze looked at her. I have nothing against you. So, it's not because you can't compare to her. Then what's the reason? In my eyes, all the women in the world can't compare to her. An Lan's face crumpled once again. How could he treat a woman so well? An Lan felt even more strongly that it was truly impossible to find another man like him. It was the same for all the men whom she knew, whom she had met, who had power and influence. Whether they were abroad or in the country, every man kept a few mistresses outside. No matter how well they treated their own wives at home, they would definitely have a few other women outside for them to play around with. But this man, now that there was an opportunity before him and she was standing right in front of him, and his wife may not even find out, he was nevertheless saying that Lin Che was the only person in his heart. An Lan looked at him. It's not as if she will see us now. Gu Jingze looked at her. But apart from my wife, I feel nothing towards any other woman. So even if you force me to do it, I won't feel anything for you at all. You. An Lan was genuinely hurt. She could not believe that he had said he had no feelings for her. And Lan said furiously, fine, fine. I want to see if you'll really feel nothing. Humph. She was truly very, very jealous of Lin Che. If it were the usual situation, when Lin Che was around, then there was a possibility that he was pretending. But at a time like this, there was no need for him to lie at all. Furthermore, being with her was advantageous to him. It was also in his interest to please her. But he still refused to do it. How could he be such a good man? What was she to do? The better he was, the more Lan liked him. Gu Jingze sat there quietly. He had analyzed the situation for the past few days. Those people had made use of his illness and had deliberately created a weapon. Using material made out of fiber that mimicked women, they had created something to deal with him. He had known early on that someone would make use of these things one day, but he had not expected this day to arrive like this. That person had to have a certain level of understanding of his illness. Thus, no matter how he thought about it, it was definitely someone involved in the Gu family's internal affairs who had done this. He narrowed his eyes and looked outside. Lin Che, wait for me. Wait for me to go out. Outside. It was truly the first time Lin Che was experiencing how busy Gu Jingze usually was. The documents piled up like a mountain. How Lin Che wished she had 8 pairs of eyes and 8 brains to remember these numbers. Fortunately, although Gu Jingze was not here, Qin Hao and his other trusted aides were extremely hard-working and stayed by Lin Che's side, helping her deal with all these matters. Lin Che sighed. There are way too many things to deal with in the Gu family. Does Gu Jingze usually have this many things to deal with? Qin Hao said, Sir has more things to deal with than these. Huh, even more than these? We took into account the fact that you can't deal with too many things because you've just started and you aren't used to it yet. Thus, we shifted some less important matters for you to deal with later. There are also some trivial matters that the subordinates settled on their own. Usually, Sir would oversee those matters on his own. Good gracious, Lin Che thought to herself that Gu Jingze really had things tough. Qin Hao said, but Sir is different from ordinary people after all. He has a quality that all of us admire greatly. No matter how many documents he looks at, Sir can remember everything. That's why he's faster at handling things. Indeed, there was a myriad of things to deal with. They could be as trivial as changes of personnel in the company and as major as project management, or the movement of hundreds of millions in funds. It was very easy to forget. Is that so? Is Gu Jingze that impressive? Lin Che said. Qin Hao said, Sir can remember every decimal point to the clearest after seeing it once. I still remember being very surprised back then. When I first started working with Sir, I thought that he relied on the 20 to 30 secretaries outside to handle things. I didn't think that he could finish looking through a huge stack of documents within an afternoon. We thought that he merely skimmed through the documents, but he was able to recite all those 100 million figures right away. It was only then that I found out Sir is truly different from ordinary people. He has unparalleled memory and can basically remember everything he reads. Lin Che said, how incredible. She sighed. In comparison, she fell far short. When she looked down at the documents, she heard the door open all of a sudden. Seeing that it was Gu Jingze who had walked in, Lin Che immediately asked, why are you here? Mother, third uncle said that you had your hands full here. I can also look through these documents. Lin Che said, you still have to go to school. School has already ended. If there's anything, I can help you take a look. There are so many uncles and aunts helping me out. Qin Hao said, Madam, Sir was already handling the company's affairs when he was 6. If little young master has that capability, we don't mind letting him take a look first. We can just treat it as a form of training for him. Lin Che looked at Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze added, Mother, even Uncle Qin said so. Lin Che said, all right. From today onwards, you can come here but you must be obedient. Don't be too rash and impulsive. There must always be people supervising you. You must listen carefully to what the uncles and aunts say. Don't do things of your own accord, all right? Yes, Mother, don't worry. We'll wait together for Father to return. I won't let Father see that I've messed things up completely when he comes back. Lin Che's eyes moistened. Nianian was really becoming more and more sensible. By the time Lin Che had settled matters here, it was already close to midnight. Afterward, she still had to settle matters over at the studio. Yu Minmin knew that she had a very special situation on her hands, so she had taken special care to make proper arrangements in relation to the studio. By this time, night had approached quietly, and Lan also made her move. That night, she stealthily arrived at Gu Jingze's room. The medicine she had given him also had ingredients that caused drowsiness. She thought that Gu Jingze was probably in deep sleep right now. When she made her way over, she saw Gu Jingze lying down peacefully. Moonlight shone on his cold face. In the dark night, his brow was furrowed deeply as if he was dreaming about something. His beautiful eyes were shut tightly. His eyeballs moved under his lids, causing his long and thick lashes to tremble faintly as well. And Lan admired his beautiful body under the moonlight. How she wished she could throw herself on him right now. She looked down at her own body that she had gotten ready. Then, she pulled off the nightgown she was wearing. Underneath, she was dressed in sensual lingerie made of smooth silk. It fit her snugly and was cool and soft. She gently shrugged off the lingerie, which immediately fell to the ground. There was nothing inside at all. She thought to herself that she simply did not believe that a man could reject such temptation. On top of that, he was still asleep right now. She walked over to him, reached out her hand to caress him gently. She touched his firm skin through his clothes. This was enough to make it even more difficult for her to bear. However, at this moment, Chapter 1235, he had actually escaped. In the dark night, Gu Jingze's eyes were like butterfly wings. They suddenly flashed open, after which a hint of sternness shot out a ray of light in the dark like diamonds. In the next instant, he pinned down Lan and pulled her in front of him. Ah! Lan cried out. Gu Jingze said, "Don't move. Otherwise, your throat may not be intact." Lan looked at him in shock. Weren't you sleeping? I haven't eaten anything for the past few days. So, my apologies. I'm not unconscious anymore. What, so you were starving? That's right. Lan was genuinely very angry. She could not believe that he had not eaten and had starved himself, and had endured it for so long too. But he usually seemed as if he was completely fine. She could not tell that there was anything different about him. He said, "Get me out of here." Lan gritted her teeth. "You won't be able to get out." Humph. Gu Jingze tightened his hold on her. "Do you think that I won't kill you?" Lan's hands and feet instinctively turned cold as ice. She felt that her throat was actually about to be twisted and broken. You let go of me. How can you treat me this way? Your family is indebted to the Yin family. If you kill me, do you think I would care about these things right now? Lan looked at his ice-cold gaze. She no longer dared to suspect that he dared not kill her. He would really do it, and he would do it without the slightest hesitation. Fine, I'll release you. Lan had not put on her clothes yet. Was he completely unmoved even when she was pressing against him like this? However, true enough, Gu Jingze did not even glance at her body. She was in his hold, but he did not even move slightly closer to her. Seriously. Lan's tears streamed down her face. Was he not attracted to her in the slightest? Just then, the people outside rushed in. They were immediately struck dumb by the sight of Lan undressed. Crying, Lan said angrily, "Turn around. You're not allowed to look at me." Everyone immediately turned their heads away. Lan asked, Can't I put some clothes on?" Gu Jingze said, "Sure. If you give me a gun first." Lan gestured for someone to give him a gun. He released Lan only when he obtained the gun. Lan looked down and first pulled her nightgown over her body. Then, she turned around angrily and said, "You can forget about leaving this place alive today." Her shame had truly turned into fury. Since he loved Lin Che so much, he could just go and die. Other people could forget about attaining what she was unable to. However, Gu Jingze smiled coldly. "Is that so?" The corners of his lips were upturned in an unusually striking and beautiful manner. There was a cold aura about his lips, causing Lan to feel chills running down her back all of a sudden. However, a few people immediately rushed towards him while holding their guns. And Lan shouted, "Kill him! Whoever kills him will get a reward of 10 million. The moment they heard that they could get 10 million, there was a wave of emotion in all of their hearts. They ignored everything else and immediately surged forward. However, Gu Jingze instantly did a backflip. After kicking a few people aside, he fired 2 shots which caused the others to collapse immediately. Then, he pulled the curtain behind him and jumped out of the window directly. What level was this? He vanished without a trace after jumping down. And Lan crawled to the window in surprise. How could he? When she looked down, she witnessed Gu Jingze's outstanding agility. He simply followed the trajectory of the windows below and jumped down from window to window. To her surprise, he was nearly at the bottom. Quick, go after him. And Lan was genuinely anxious now. Was he going to escape just like that? Fortunately, she had subordinates downstairs as well. Upon hearing her command, they immediately gave chase. However, Gu Jingze managed to dodge everyone's bullets and ran across the road. When a car came close, he jumped directly onto it. His movements were surprisingly smooth. Judging from his skills, he definitely did not seem like someone who was injured and had not eaten even a grain of rice in the past few days. And Lan stood there and looked on in shock. So many people failed in their attempt and stood outside in a daze as well. Good gracious, who was that person? He's so impressive. How can he run so fast? His technique is way too good. He didn't even get shot once. Everyone was looking on in awe from behind. By this time, Lan had already run downstairs. When she saw the situation, she was so angry that she stomped her feet. A few of them rushed over to her, bowed their heads and said, "Miss, we didn't catch him, we're sorry. We didn't know that this person was actually so formidable." And Lan stepped forward and immediately slapped the person right in front. Useless idiots. Then, she looked at the rest of them and felt even more furious. A bunch of useless garbage. If all of you were half as capable as the Gu family's bodyguards, you would not have let one man escape when there are so many of you. But what could she do? He had already run away. And Lan felt that this man was truly much more powerful than she had imagined. But what could she do now? He had escaped. Would he come and seek revenge against her in the future? She had to inform her family not to let Gu Jingze return to the Gu residence. But after thinking about it, she felt that Gu Jingze was likely unable to get very far either. He had been injured so severely and may have been enduring the pain earlier. And Lan quietly said to herself, how nice it would be if a man as good as him belonged to her. But now, he just had to pit himself against her. He was terrifyingly powerful. If he could not belong to her, then she would not allow anyone to have him. Indeed, Gu Jingze had collapsed directly onto the ground in a field somewhere. He had already lost consciousness by the time someone discovered him. Ah, mother, quick, look. There's a man here. A little boy was currently on an outdoor excursion with his mother and grandmother. When he saw this man, he was scared out of his wits. The woman was merely an ordinary primary school teacher by the name of Wang Li. Her son was called Dong Dong. She hastily called out, "Dong Dong, come here. Let's call the police." She was just about to call the police when Gu Jingze opened his eyes abruptly. "Don't." He pulled Dong Dong towards him swiftly. His eyes were open and there were remnants of blood on his face. Wang Li was overwhelmed when she looked at his face. This man was way too handsome. Especially right now, the stains had not made his face ugly at all. Instead, they gave him an aura of mystery and depth. His face, which had been exquisite to the point of being unreal, appeared even more vivid. He was so handsome that she was struck dumb. For a moment, Wang Li even forgot about calling the police. Gu Jingze said, "My enemies are coming after me. Please help me. Don't call the police first. My family members are still waiting for me. Waiting for me." Wang Li hastily said, "Huh. Your enemies coming after you. Who are you? Why do you have enemies?" Gu Jingze said, "My enemies want to kill me off so that they can seize my family's assets." "Ah, then we should call the police quickly." "No, my wife and son are still in his hands. I'm worried that they won't survive if you call the police." Wang Li had never heard of such incidents. However, the bloodstains that she saw on his abdomen did not seem like ordinary bloodstains. Dong Dong also looked down. Ah, is that a wound from a gunshot? Gu Jingze nodded. Wang Li was finally starting to believe him. Good lord, is your family very rich? Gu Jingze said, not really. It's just that the opposing side is made up of complete scoundrels. They are capable of any misdeed. I can't take that risk. Alright, I won't call the police first. For some reason, Wang Li unknowingly started to believe his words when she looked at his face. 1236. Where is he? At the side, his grandmother was still a bit worried. We don't know where this person is from. What are you going to do after bringing him back? Wang Li said, he doesn't look like a bad person. Saving a life is more meritorious than building a 7-floor pagoda. Besides, what if something has actually happened to their family? All the men in Wang Li's family had gone out to work, leaving behind just the child and the women. There was a reason for the grandmother to worry. But Wang Li genuinely felt that he did not look like a bad person. He was so handsome, how could he be a bad guy? She actually brought him back. Then, she laid him down so that he could rest, and asked him what he needed. He only asked her where he was. As expected, this was not C Nation, but M Nation. He was afraid that calling the police would only lead and Lan to him as she was still searching for him. Seeing as he had escaped, and Lan was definitely going to kill him out of worry that he would take revenge. She would not let him return to the Gu residence easily. Gu Jingze asked for the newspapers and for access to the internet to check out the situation here. There was no news at all from the Gu family. This was probably good news. It meant that Lin Che was preserving order in the Gu family very well. There was no new information about Lin Che either, although she occasionally appeared in the news. It seemed that Lin Che was still doing very well. As expected of the woman he had chosen. Even without him, she did not fall apart. He was grateful for the years she spent in the United States alone. Although those days had been very difficult for her, she had learned how to be resilient and toughened up during that time. But he, nevertheless, felt very sorry for her. He felt sorry that she had to face so many things alone. However, at the same time, he was unable to rush back right now. In the middle of the night, Lin Che received a call from Qin Hao out of the blue. Madam, we've received news that the An family just made a sudden move. Lin Che asked, what move? The An family suddenly mobilized many people to search for someone. Are they searching for Gu Jingze? We were unable to find out. They did not divulge this to anyone. But at a time like this, it's too much a coincidence. Lin Che said, you're right. Keep an eye on them. Yes, madam. Lin Che could not help the slight chill in her voice. Recently, while working, she had slowly become accustomed to using this tone. As she sat here and spoke now, she thought to herself. She had never imagined that one day, she would have to personally mobilize an army and command them with a chilling tone to execute so many vicious and merciless tasks. At last, she also understood why Gu Jingze always randomly said that he was not considered a good person. Indeed, there was no way a person in this position could be absolutely good. But during the time she had spent here, she definitely understood Gu Jingze better and better. In M Nation. The next day, Lin Che instructed that she was planning to go to M Nation. Hearing this, Li Mingyu immediately came to join in the fun. No matter how you put it, M Nation is my base. Wouldn't it be great if I accompanied you there? Lin Che did not want him to get involved. But he was not wrong either. With Li Mingyu accompanying her, it seemed that she could go there with a proper title. I'll release news that I'm going to visit my mother. Don't cause trouble when we're there. Cause trouble do you mean, hinder you in your search for Gu Jingze? Hee, isn't it better if you can't find him? Lin Che looked at him with a cold expression. Alright, I was joking, don't worry, anyone can die, but he won't. He's such an intelligent person. He's not a person to be trifled with. Lin Che found these words so much more pleasing to the ear. She was glad at the mention that he was able to escape, that he was amazing and would be able to save himself come what may. That night, Lin Che took the Gu family's private plane and flew straight to M Nation. After alighting from the plane, she walked out with Li Mingyu under the accompaniment of the Gu family's bodyguards. While they were walking, Li Mingyu even nagged, Gu Jingze's plane is larger than mine. Seriously, it's a pity that it will take a long time to get a customized plane like his. Otherwise, I would definitely buy one now. Lin Che could not be bothered with his nonsensical words. When they arrived downstairs, she saw her mother here to welcome her. Su Sen was also very glad to see Lin Che. But she saw that Lin Che was different from her usual self this time. There were many people trailing behind her. They stood behind her respectfully and looked at everything around them vigilantly. Their presence was also different. They looked majestic. Because she had taken over the Gu family's headquarters, these people had to follow her. She was now tied to the entire Gu family. Her safety could not be taken lightly. Naturally, Su Sen felt a little sorry for her. She also felt a bit happy that she was able to take on so many responsibilities. It meant that she had truly grown up. But the price she had to pay for growing up each time was always very high. Su Sen said, the Gu family has so many guards. Lin Che turned around and looked. We're in a critical period right now. I can't help it. I don't have so many people with me when there are no issues. Safety first, safety first. Su Sen then saw Li Mingyu beside her. He did not look like one of her subordinates, so she asked, this person is? He's my friend. His name is Li Mingyu. He has always had a few businesses in M Nation. He accompanied me here this time. Ah, Li Mingyu. Su Sen knew who he was. She looked at him in surprise. She did not understand how Lin Che had become acquainted with Li Mingyu. After all, this person did not have a stellar reputation despite possessing immense power. Lin Che could tell that her mother was worried and said to her, Mother, he's a friend worthy of my trust. Don't worry. Hearing this, Su Sen felt a bit more at ease. If Lin Che said so, it meant that she was certain. Li Mingyu frowned. Auntie, you seem like such a virtuous person. You probably won't believe what the rumors say. I'm actually a very nice person. Really? Lin Che shot him a look. Su Sen looked at the way Li Mingyu behaved. She too felt that he seemed a bit different from what the rumors said. He did not look that scary. He did not look that evil either. My apologies. I'm always at home and I don't really meet people, so I'm a bit ignorant. Not at all, not at all. I was just joking, Auntie. How can you call yourself ignorant? If you were ignorant, would you have been able to give birth to such a good daughter? Daughters always take after their mothers. She must be so good because her mother's genes are good. Lin Che looked at Li Mingyu in disbelief. How come I never realized that you were so good at flattering people? Hee. Seeing that the two of them were very close, Su Sen felt completely relieved. She also thought to herself that Lin Che was very impressive. She even knew a person like Li Mingyu so well. They arrived at the Gu family mansion. Lin Che was going to stay here for the time being. As for Li Mingyu, he went back to settle his own affairs. At the same time, he instructed his subordinates to assist Lin Che in her search. Upon Lin Che's arrival, the person in charge of the Gu family branch in M Nation immediately came to meet Lin Che. She conveniently dealt with several miscellaneous matters in M Nation. That night, Su Sen stayed here to keep her daughter company. When she saw that her daughter only settled everything very late at night, she felt extremely concerned for her. Sleep early. Lin Che nodded. I've settled everything. I'll go and buy something first. I can just help you buy it. No need. I just want to go out for a stroll. I feel a bit dizzy after looking at numbers for the whole day. Oh, that's fine too. Lin Che took her things and went out for a walk. The supermarket was just nearby. She was planning to go there and take a look. 12:37 they found him at loss. She went to the supermarket in a similarly grand fashion. Before going in, her subordinates were already stationed outside to keep a lookout. Lin Che pushed a shopping cart inside while looking around. She bought some snacks, planning to eat them when she returned. Going to a supermarket was an extremely relaxing affair, to begin with. However, with these people following her, she felt slightly uncomfortable. Fortunately, she had also had personal guards following her around in the past, so she had gotten much more used to it. But there were many more people with her today than usual. It made her feel slightly uneasy. However, she had no other choice but to adjust to it. She was pushing the shopping cart and walking around when she suddenly knocked into a child when she turned around the corner. "Oh no," the child cried out. Lin Che looked down and said, "I'm sorry." She rushed to pull the child towards her when a woman ran over from the side. "Dong dong, dong dong. What happened to you?" Lin Che hastily said, "I'm sorry. I accidentally bumped into him." Wang Li looked up at Lin Che. Then, she smiled and said, "It's all right. You didn't do it on purpose either." However, at this moment, the people behind Lin Che immediately rushed forward. One of them came directly in front of Lin Che and looked at Wang Li coldly. Wang Li froze. She retreated backward in shock. There was terror written all over her face. Lin Che stopped the man with one arm. "It's fine, it was just an accidental touch." In the past, Lin Che had also wondered why she had to bring so many people along when she went out. Later on, Qin Hao told her that Gu Jingze had been attacked once, by a person on the street who looked extremely ordinary. He was actually a special agent from another country. After pretending to fall, he seized the opportunity to make his move on Gu Jingze. Another time, even a pregnant woman suddenly attacked him. After those incidents, Gu Jingze's subordinates became extremely vigilant towards all people who passed by on the street, even if they looked completely ordinary. Lin Che looked up and glanced at Wang Li. Wang Li frantically said, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't watch my child properly. I'll leave right now." At one glance, these people looked like people whom she could not afford to offend. Wang Li dared not stay a second longer and wanted to leave immediately with her child. Lin Che smiled. "I'm sorry. They scared you. I should be apologizing. Why don't you leave first? They won't do anything." Yes, thank you." Wang Li rushed off. Lin Che turned around and continued shopping. Wang Li turned around. She heaved a sigh of relief only after the troop of people had left. Beside her, Dong Dong looked up and asked, "Mother, what do these people do?" Wang Li shook her head. "I don't know either. She looks like the heiress of some family." "Huh, what does an heiress do?" Wang Li said, "It's none of your business. Anyway, we can't afford to offend them." Seeing that those people simply looked extraordinary, Wang Li sighed in admiration. She was beautiful and rich, and she even had so many bodyguards trailing after her. A person as lucky as her was different from them ordinary people. But why was a person like her here at the supermarket? Lin Che lost interest after buying some things. She left the supermarket with her men in tow. Meanwhile, after returning home, Wang Li saw that Gu Jingze was still lying there. He seemed slightly feverish and his entire body was trembling while he slept. Oh no, he could be running a fever because his wound had been infected. However, he had also said that he dared not go to the hospital. Wang Li was about to die from fright. She had merely taken a few steps towards Gu Jingze when she heard him calling out, "Lin Che, Lin Che." Was that someone's name? Wang Li felt that he was calling her name in a particularly loving way. Was she his wife? He was completely unconscious but continued to call out his wife's name. What a good man he was. Wang Li lost control for a moment. She had never seen such a good-looking person before. She felt the slight urge to touch him and see if he was real. So, she reached out her hand. He did not react at all when she touched him, because he was running a fever after all. His body was still extremely weak and he had completely let down his guard. She stretched her hand further along his body. Although Wang Li felt shy, she also felt that his body was very pleasant to the touch. Good gracious, it was a pity that she had never met such a good-looking person. But when she thought about it, a person so good-looking definitely would not marry her. She was merely an ordinary teacher with an ordinary family. Her greatest goal was to bring up her child. After getting married, she no longer had any other dreams of her own. She had put all her hopes in her child. Thus, she was content with her lot and thought only of her family. She had never indulged in wishful thinking. A life like hers was probably different from theirs. For some reason, she felt as though this man's life was the same as that of the rich heiress she had met in the supermarket. She felt the man move while she was thinking. His body suddenly broke out in rashes and his breathing became labored. Wang Li was frightened. Had he been poisoned? Of course, she would not know about Gu Jing's strange illness. Perhaps there had been some sweat on her palm when she had touched him earlier. In any case, she had triggered Gu Jingze's illness. Wang Li felt that this seemed to be an allergic reaction, but she did not know what to do either. She kept looking at him, wanting to wait for his rashes to subside on their own. However, if Gu Jingze's illness was that simple, he would not have spent such a long time studying it. After some time, Gu Jingze's body started twitching even more violently. He lay there completely unconscious. Only his eyes were moving as if he was about to die at any moment. Ultimately, Wang Li didn't dare to delay treatment any longer and quickly rushed him to the hospital. After returning to her accommodation and lying down, Lin Che thought of the mother and son whom she had met earlier. Beside her, Qin Hao said, "Madam, it's time for you to rest." Lin Che said, "Sometimes, I think it would also be quite nice to be an ordinary married couple." What? Qin Hao looked at her. Lin Che said, "I saw a woman and her child in the supermarket today. I thought of the fact that I seldom bring Nianian to the supermarket, because there are too many people and because Nianian doesn't like going out either." Indeed, little young master was born with extraordinary talent. He's different from other children. But perhaps the joy of ordinary people is more blissful. Qin Hao said, "All of us were ordinary people in the past. It's not that we never had such experiences. It can't be that you don't know whether or not they're blessed, right?" Lin Che froze before thinking back to those days. Yes, she herself had forgotten how she had been bullied in the Lin family back then and how she had run away with nothing to her name. Now, she did not have to worry about basic necessities. She had other concerns now, but she had forgotten that even if she did not have such troubles at the time, she would have had other troubles. She said, "Yes, each person has his worries. If I could choose a kind of worry, I still prefer the current kind." Because, at least she had Gu Jingze now. For Gu Jingze, all these troubles were nothing. She looked up and smiled at Qin Hao. "Thank you, Assistant Qin." Qin Hao smiled and said, "It's nothing." At this moment, someone came in and said all of a sudden, "Madam, we just received news that a hospital took in a patient with no identity." A patient? That's right, the hospital had some difficulties identifying this patient's illness. It's currently seeking the assistance of international experts. Lin Che immediately stood up. Gu Jingze's illness. Beside her, Qin Hao also nodded. "Madam, there's a strong possibility." 1238 This is my husband. At the hospital, everyone was panicking. They did not know what to do with him. Wang Li was listening outside. They repeatedly asked her where she had found him and whether or not she had any proof of his identity. Wang Li slightly regretted bringing him home. If he died here this time, how would she explain it? She kept responding that she did not know either. The hospital was also examining him. The cause of his allergic reaction was very strange and they did not know how to relieve his symptoms too. They had used many types of medicine but all to no avail. It was obvious that his organs were about to fail. If the situation persisted, he was going to die. Just then, they heard a noise from outside. A row of people suddenly barged in. One of the doctors hastily called for security. "Security, we have a problem in the emergency ward." The doctors then went up to them and blocked them. "Who are you people? What are you doing?" The person right in front immediately flashed a card. "Back off. We're from the Yin family. You can't afford to offend us." On the card was a special pass that allowed him to enter and leave any place in M Nation at will. Such passes were given by the government to certain people on missions. They could only get these through special means. The doctor was still not sure what the people from the Yin family intended to do, but he nevertheless made way quickly as he recognized the pass. He watched as all these people looked inside with solemn expressions as if they were looking for someone. Could they be looking for that unidentified patient who was admitted today? That person looked like he was about to die. Who exactly is he? While the nurses were murmuring amongst themselves, these people had already kicked open the door to the emergency ward. Wang Li was still outside the door. As she looked at these people, she recalled that Gu Jingze had previously said that people were hunting him down. Could these people be the ones hunting him down? She shouted internally at the unfortunate situation. Were they here for that man? In that case, what was going to happen now? Were they going to kill him after going in? She genuinely wanted to stop them. But when she looked at these people, she knew that she would not be able to stop them. She really did not know how she had gotten involved in these people's affairs. Just when she was rubbing her hands at the door, not knowing what to do. Outside, another group of people had come in and surrounded the place. The people inside shouted, "Not good. There are people after us outside. Are they from the Gu family? Who else can it be besides them? Then, what should we do? Young Miss already told us to kill him. We can't let him go back alive. Killing the master of the Gu family." Just thinking about it made them feel excited. Quick, do it. The people of the Gu family move very quickly. Those people were veterans. They were not a match for them. The people in front were about to make a move on Gu Jingze, who was lying on the bed barely alive. However, at this moment, outside the window, someone smashed the window and jumped inside directly. He landed a kick on that person's wrist, causing his gun to fall to the ground immediately. They raised their heads abruptly. He's Lin Che's personal guard. They knew who Dongzi was. This person, Wang Dong, was now well known in their circle. Although all of them kept a very low profile, they would conduct investigations on those from other families. Who worked for Lin Che? Who worked for Gu Jingze? After all, after years of working for prominent figures, their positions became more and more special. These people, who stayed with them for a long time, were all trusted aides. Thus, they had to thoroughly investigate and find out how capable these people were. This was why they immediately recognized Dongzi the moment he came in. They were also well aware that his skills were exceptional even in the personal army. They were probably not a match for him. Dongzi simply kicked the person aside. Afterward, more people came in. The personal guards rushed in directly and swiftly surrounded this place. Not good. Retreat. Knowing that they could not win, they hastily retreated and ran out, ignoring Gu Jingze who was on the bed. The personal guards were about to go after them, but Lin Che had already entered behind them. Let them go. No need to go after them. Yes, madam. Lin Che said, anyway, we already know which family they're from, so there's no point even if you catch up to them. It was none other than the Yin family. They could escape if they wanted to. A monk could run away, but the temple remained. While speaking, Lin Che immediately saw Gu Jingze who was lying unconscious on the bed. His skin was flushed red and his body was weak. It really looked as if he was no longer breathing. Her heart seized up in pain and Lin Che quickly walked towards him. Gu Jingze. She looked down at Gu Jingze. She could immediately tell that his old illness was acting up again. She took out Gu Jingze's medicine and fed it to him quickly. Soon, the abnormal rashes on his skin faded. Lin Che hugged Gu Jingze. She sensed that his breathing was slowly becoming regular. She laid his head in her lap and slowly smoothed out the slight creases on his forehead. I'm here. Gu Jingze, I've found you. Gu Jingze, I pulled through, she mumbled. At the moment, she felt relieved and at ease as well. At last, she had finally found him. She felt as if the huge rock in her heart had finally been put down. This experience was something she would never forget for the rest of her life. When she thought back on it, she herself did not even know how she had endured it for so long. Only then did she remember to examine Gu Jingze's wound properly. She looked down only to see that his abdomen was still injured. It looked as if it was already infected. She hastily said, "Quick, call someone here. Get someone here to treat his wound." The doctors quickly rushed over. They were still wondering who these people were when Li Mingyu came behind them and said, "All right. I've already called for the best doctor here." Lin Che looked up. "Thank you." "Forget it. It's fine as long as he's all right. You can thank me later." It was rare for Li Mingyu to be so magnanimous. Lin Che quickly made way for the doctor to examine him. The doctor from this hospital who had initially handled the matter stood at the side. He was still surprised upon seeing that the rashes on Gu Jingze's body had subsided. He had tried many methods earlier but to no avail. But why did his rashes subside and his symptoms disappear after this woman fed him some pill earlier? In no time, the doctor dealt with Gu Jingze's infected wound. However, it was impossible for the inflammation to go away instantly, so his wound still needed better treatment. Lin Che instructed, "Tell them to get ready. We'll transfer Gu Jingze to a safer hospital for treatment." Li Mingyu said, "In that case, transfer him to my house. We can just have the doctor go there straight." Lin Che looked at him. "Sure." When she left, she saw that Wang Li was still there watching the situation. Beside her, one of her subordinates informed her, "Madam, this is the woman who found Sir and brought him to the hospital." It was unexpectedly her. Of course, Lin Che still remembered that they had bumped into each other that night at the supermarket. She did not expect the world to be so small. She approached Wang Li while looking at her. Wang Li was already shrinking back slightly in fear. She could not understand what she had just seen. The situation was too unreal. The hospital that had initially been quiet was literally a mess right now. These unidentified people had rushed in, evidently causing the hospital to lose its initial calm. As for Wang Li, she felt even more terrified when she realized that this person was the person she had met at the supermarket. Lin Che said, "Don't be afraid. This is my husband. I just wanted to ask you how you found him." Wang Li thought to herself in surprise. What, was this his wife, the person who had been in his thoughts all this time? 1239 Was this their sir? Wang Li shared the events that had taken place that day while trembling. Lin Che slowly understood after listening to what she said. Gu Jingze had purposely said that so that others wouldn't be able to find him. It seemed that he had been brought to M Nation after he had been captured, and managed to escape somehow. Moreover, it hadn't been long since he had escaped. Lin Che said thankfully, "You've saved my husband. Don't worry, I'll thank you properly." She turned and said, "Give her a reward and send her off safely." How could Wang Li dare to take the reward? No need, no need. It's all my fault. I don't know why he got allergic. Lin Che thought that it might be because this woman had touched Gu Jingze. However, most people didn't know that he had this condition, and since she didn't know about it, she shouldn't be blamed. Lin Che wouldn't be too harsh toward her. "It's alright, you aren't to be blamed for this. I'm still very thankful to you." At this moment, Lin Che was like a queen. Wang Li quickly said, "Thank you." Looking at Lin Che, she thought that it was only such a woman who could be a fit for such a good-looking man. She was also very envious of such a life. It was a pity that such a life was too far away from her. She then turned and took another look at Lin Che before leaving. She didn't dare to glance too much at the other people and quickly left. Lin Che's men and Li Mingyu's men brought Gu Jingze to leave the hospital. They went to Li Mingyu's place and got him settled down there. Lin Che looked at Gu Jingze in the room, staying by his side and looking at his face. Deep asleep, he looked quite peaceful. Right now, she only wanted to see him awake, and she herself wasn't sleepy in the least. At this moment, Qin Hao came in. "Madam, this really seems to be the work of the Yin family. However, they are denying this." Lin Che snorted. How could they dare to admit it? They were supposed to have close ties with the Gu family over the years, yet they dared to do something like this. Qin Hao said, "But we don't have any other evidence either." Lin Che said, "There's no need to care about them for now. Gu Jingze won't let them off after he wakes up." "Yes, madam is right. Given how Gu Jingze would always take revenge for what was done to him, how could he possibly let them off easily?" At this moment, Gu Jingze suddenly moved. Lin Che immediately sensed it and looked at him. "Gu Jingze, you're awake." Gu Jingze opened his eyes and looked at Lin Che. You. Lin Che took his hand happily. It's me. I've found you." However, Gu Jingze frowned. "You, who are you? I seem to have seen you before in my dreams." What was happening? The doctor didn't take long to rush over. Seeing Gu Jingze's lost appearance, the doctor took very long to give him a checkup. Madam, the patient seemed to have lost his memories. Lin Che was surprised. How could this happen? The doctor said, I'm not too clear about the details, but right now, the patient clearly doesn't remember anything. Some people go through a temporary memory loss when they wake up after fainting. You don't have to be so worried. Then, how long will it take for him to recover? Lin Che asked. The doctor said, it depends on whether the patient's brain has received any damage. There aren't any injuries, so I reckon that it's related to his nervous system. It might be a temporary confusion and shouldn't last too long. When Lin Che heard this, she heaved a sigh of relief. It was good that his head didn't sustain any other injuries. But, why did he lose his memories? She lowered her head and looked at Gu Jingze, saying, all right, I'll go get you a change of clothes first. She was just about to leave when someone held onto her hand. She was stunned and turned to see Gu Jingze holding her wrist. What's the matter? Lin Che asked. At this moment, Gu Jingze pulled with a slight force, causing Lin Che to sit down in his embrace. Lin Che was given a shock. Hey, you haven't recovered from your injuries yet. What are you doing? Gu Jingze's lips got close to her, and he looked at her while narrowing his eyes. His eyes were filled with her reflection, taking such a long look at her. She really had doubts about whether he was going to devour her. He said, I don't know why, but I want to kiss you. When he said such things with his hoarse voice, Lin Che's entire body turned numb. Lin Che looked at him. I thought you don't know who I am. But I saw you before in my dreams. Lin Che looked at him. Really? He nodded. Lin Che thought, could it be that although he had lost his memories, he still had some recollections of her? She said, all right, at least you're tactful and didn't forget about your wife. So, you're my wife, and I'm your husband. Yes. Then, the husband can kiss the wife, right? This Gu Jingze. After saying that, he lowered his head and kissed her on the lips. Before she could react to his soft peck, he propped her mouth open and probed in strongly. She wanted to say, don't move around recklessly, your wounds are still quite deep. However, Gu Jingze's kiss only became increasingly anxious and deeper. He seemed to suddenly enter deep into her soul. Don't move. No Gu Jingze. Regardless if he had lost his memories, he was still so skilled at kissing. Although he was covered in the smell of medicine, his scent was still sexy. His mouth was still as amazing as it had been, not even giving her the opportunity to breathe. When he heard her voice, he sounded a little displeased. Since I'm your husband, why don't you call me hubby? Lin Che was dumbfounded. Had he lost his memories? Wasn't this an evolution instead? She said, I have always been calling you by your name. How can that do? This isn't right. Lin Che looked at him, and he frowned. Between husband and wife, shouldn't you be calling me hubby? Lin Che wasn't used to this. They had started off calling each other by their names, and although they might be very intimate at times, she had never attempted this kind of intimacy. His brows furrowed even more tightly, seemingly displeased. Although Lin Che couldn't make herself call him that, she couldn't bear to see him wearing this expression either. Who hubby? Hearing that, he pecked on her lips again, feeling pleased. Wifey. Ah, he hadn't called her in this manner before. When Lin Che heard that, her ears felt as if they had softened, and so did her heart. He said, say it again. Lin Che said, hubby. Wifey, I like you calling me in this manner. It sounds nice. Lin Che's face turned red. They had already been husband and wife for so long. Was it really a good idea for them to act so intimately with each other? He hugged her like that, not letting go. When Chin Hao came in, he hadn't expected to see them locked in an embrace like a pair of conjoined twins. He was stunned as well. Madam, sir. Lin Che quickly wanted to push Gu Jingze away. It's fine, he's quite alright. However, she didn't manage to push him away successfully. Feeling that she was trying to break free, Gu Jingze immediately frowned and asked, Wifey, why did you push me? That was right, He seemed to be quite alright. However, Qin Hao felt that he was the one who wasn't alright. Was this their Sir? 1240 newly wedded couple. Lin Che's face was also a little flushed. However, she saw that Gu Jingze was wearing a strange expression. He appeared as he normally did, looking at people calmly as if this was how things should be. It made others felt embarrassed. Unlike his openness, Lin Che was the one who appeared a little embarrassed. She smiled at Qin Hao. He doesn't have any other problems. Don't worry. Qin Hao took a few more glances at Gu Jingze before saying to Lin Che, Madam, there are no other matters, but Dr. Chen is here. Chen Yucheng. Yes. Alright, quickly invite him in. Chen Yucheng entered and said, Aya, it has been very long since I've seen Gu Jingze's condition act up. Lin Che said, quickly come and take a look. He has lost his memories and I don't know what to do. Chen Yucheng frowned. He looked at Gu Jingze, who was seated there with an indifferent expression and didn't seem as if there was anything wrong with him. Did his attack continue for very long this time around? Was he unable to take his medication in time? Lin Che said, when Gu Jingze was brought to the hospital, he had lost consciousness. The doctor didn't know what to do with him, and we only managed to find him after a while. If we were any later, he'd probably... Lin Che didn't dare to imagine what would happen. She had no idea if this condition would have taken his life, but when she saw him, she could sense that Gu Jingze's life was rapidly dissipating. Thankfully, Lin Che had been decisive when she brought people here to take a look. When they came up, they saw someone suspicious here and immediately instructed Dong Zi to go up to check things out. If there were any mishaps, she wouldn't have been able to see Gu Jingze. Chen Yucheng did a check before saying, it's probably because the duration of this attack was too long and it affected his nervous system. Then, is the damage very big? It seems to be fine. Just pay more attention and if there's anything wrong, such as showing signs of convulsion or epilepsy, then take a CT scan to see if there are any internal bleeding, tumor rupture, or things like that. Even if it's just the slightest. Alright, I understand. Lin Che bade Chen Yucheng goodbye and then spent the entire day taking care of Gu Jingze. She didn't dare to tell the Gu family that Gu Jingze had lost his memories. She also didn't ask what plans the Yin family had, and why they were trying to kill Gu Jingze. She only hoped that after Gu Jingze returned to normal, he would then go and handle the matters. The truth would be out then. Thankfully, other than losing his memories, there was nothing wrong with Gu Jingze. The next day, Gu Jingze said that he wanted to go out to take a walk. Lin Che thought that he might be able to recall some things if he were to see the things outside and came into contact with the outside world. Therefore, she brought him out. The Yin family didn't dare to take any further actions, but Lin Che still didn't dare to let down her guard. She got people to keep watch outside the mall, not allowing any suspicious people to enter. The two of them brought along some secret guards and entered the mall to find food to eat. As they walked, Gu Jingze's hands slowly entangled with hers, and their fingers locked together. Lin Che couldn't help but lower her head to take a look. Walking like this on the road felt very warm. This was especially after she had spent days without Gu Jingze by her side. She now felt very satisfied to be able to touch him like this. She looked up at Gu Jingze, and couldn't help but purse her lips together and smile. Gu Jingze sensed it and turned his head. Wifey, what are you smiling at? Huh, I'm smiling at how adorable you are. She didn't dare to look at him. Her heart felt very fuzzy to hear him calling her wifey. He asked, why aren't you looking at me? To think that he would even notice this. Lin Che said, you're too tall. It's very tiring for me to raise my head and look up at you. Hearing that, Gu Jingze paused for a moment, as if he understood something. However, at the next instant, she knew that his thoughts had gone off in the wrong direction, and he had taken her words seriously. He pulled her over, lifting her up with his hands, carrying her to be right in front of him. His arms circled around her body, causing her to stick closely to him. Their foreheads also touched. As they looked at each other so close together, even their breaths had become entangled together. Hey, what are you doing? You're still injured and can't exert force. That fellow. What was he doing in public? He stared at her eyes from such a close distance, making her losing her thoughts. He said, "You won't have to raise your head if we do this." Gu Jingze. "What did you call me?" He mumbled in a soft voice with a hint of a threat. Who hubby, she really didn't know what to do with him. Gu Jingze only felt satisfied after hearing that, kissing her gently on the lips. It was too sweet, but not unbearably so. It gave her a heart-throbbing feeling. Other people passing by couldn't help but look over as well. Lin Che jumped down, feeling very sweet and her face blushing as she said, "I'm just saying." When the others looked at this couple, how could they possibly have thought that the two of them had been married for many years? They looked more like a couple that was deeply in love with each other and looked very sweet and intimate. When they passed by a shop, Lin Che recalled that Gu Jingze hadn't bought clothes over here. Therefore, she pulled him to enter the shop. Although they could buy clothes by instructing others to do it for them, since they were out, it felt good to come and shop for his clothes as well. Lin Che said, "Come, let's go in and take a look." Gu Jingze asked, "Are we buying clothes?" "That's right, for you." Gu Jingze smiled and looked at her. "All right. Why do you look so happy?" Lin Che looked at him and said. Gu Jingze smiled. I like to have wifey buy clothes for me." Lin Che blushed. "Why, you might not remember it, but you have a lot of clothes. If you were to give the order, they'd buy you a house full of clothes. It's not even a problem to buy back all the clothes in M Nation." Gu Jingze said, "But the clothes bought by wifey are different." "Huh, how are they different?" "What wifey buys for me is what you like, and what you like to see me in. That's why you'll buy them for me. So I like them." Lin Che was speechless. He looked at her and said seriously, "I want to wear what you like. I want to see you happy." Lin Che smiled and said, "I already feel very happy when I see you. But I hope that you think that I'm good looking." "You fool," Lin Che said, "you're already good looking enough. Really, I've never seen another man who is better looking than you." "Is that true?" He looked at her as he hugged her and asked. "Of course," Lin Che said very seriously. Moreover, she wasn't exaggerating. She really felt that after having met Gu Jingze, it was as if all the other men in the world held no attraction to her. They always seemed to lack something compared to Gu Jingze. Gu Jingze smiled, feeling pleased as he looked at Lin Che. "I also feel that you're the most beautiful woman." Ah, Lin Che was going to be intoxicated again. Was this Gu Jingze trying to drown her in honey? That was strange. If someone else were to say these words, it'd feel meaningless. However, when they were spoken by Gu Jingze, they immediately sounded different. It might be really because he was Gu Jingze. The one and only Gu Jingze.